Welcome to the Solo Edit Podcast, a podcast for estheticians looking for a weekly dose of motivation, inspiration, and honest conversations about life in and out of the treatment room. Today we're going to do a full Q&A episode with real questions that you guys have sent us, navigating just the complexities of our industry, from brand identity to finances to hiring and all of those messy things in between. So let's get into it. Mary asked, another esthetician in town is copying my style. What can I do? You know, this one really hits a nerve because it is personal and something that I've definitely experienced myself. When someone copies your photos, your menu, your language, or your business name, it can feel like they're trying to erase you or that they're trying to wear your skin. What is that called? It's like single white female syndrome. That is exactly what it feels like. But I want you to remember that people can copy your aesthetic, but they really cannot copy the essence of your brand. They can mimic your look, but they don't actually have a leg up on your thought process. They can borrow all they want, but they will never know your true method of your madness. You are the originator, and they are just responding to what you are putting out. And to be honest, they don't really have content without you, and eventually they'll give up and move on to somebody else. I know that's not the best advice or like super helpful, but it's really easy to get kind of caught up in that and focused and feeling defeated. But, you know, copying just comes from a lack of clarity on their part, not yours. And it's because they don't understand the essence of building a brand in general. They're too busy watching and copying others because they don't know what to do. They don't know how to run a business. And eventually it will catch up with them. So instead of focusing on what they're taking, try to shift your energy towards like, what am I going to create next? The moment they imitate you, they're already behind you. The caveat to all of this is if they're stealing your name, your logo, or just like blatantly stealing your content, your befores and afters or whatever, then I would definitely consider legal action. You know, I remember years ago, a business popped up with a similar name and the logo was almost identical. A couple clients actually brought it to my attention. And I remember reaching out to them and they claimed that they had absolutely no idea and that they had paid someone to do their branding package. You know, to this day, I still have no idea if it's true or not, but it's not outside the realm of possibility. I kind of just let it go because I was doing really great business at the time with my studio. But, you know, we all will face this at some point in our career. And I think it's just important to just stay in our own lane, not worry about what other people are doing. And I think that those that kind of follow that are the ones that are ultimately successful. All right. Renee asks, I'm going solo with only $2,000. How big of a loan should I take out? Okay. I feel like the mistake most estheticians make is imagining their future business, you know, their dream studio, decorating it, everything that is going to be fun about it, and then funding that instead of the starter version. With $2,000, you could probably get the basics. You most likely will need more like $5,000 or $10,000. But the goal is not to drown yourself in debt or to go in debt at all. The goal is just to give yourself 3 months of basic operational breathing room, a minimal but functional setup, and enough back bar to actually make you money. And if you have some extra for retail, great. When I started, I literally had nothing. I spent money on a table that I got off Amazon that was like $100. I bought IKEA cabinets that I got from an estate sale. They were in perfect condition. And I bought products for back bar. I didn't have any modalities. I didn't have anything fancy. I just really focused on the treatments that I was offering and creating a menu that was exciting and made sense, and then focused on my marketing. Within a year just doing that, I already had a wait list. So if you're just starting out, make sure that you are sitting down to calculate your rent and insurance, your minimal equipment, towels, product, booking software, things that are essential for you to start. And then once you start bringing in money, then you can, venture into buying equipment or other things that you think will elevate your space or your business. If you can function for 60 to 90 days, you will be able to start generating revenue. So just start small, earn that next stage, and don't take out anything that you can't confidently pay back within 6 months. Jessica says, I'm in California and so many people are working out of scope. What do I do? This one's kind of hard. California in particular is really strict with, it seems like, a lot of uneven enforcement. And when you're following the rules while others are doing lasers and microneedling, it can feel really unfair. And you feel like, how am I going to scale my business when others are offering services I can't? But my thoughts are this: you don't need to be the police. You just need to be the safest, most knowledgeable, and ethical option in your space. Should you report them? I mean, you could, but I would just say, it won't always lead to immediate action. If they find out, it could create drama. It consumes, emotional energy. And last, it just doesn't do anything for your business. When you focus on your ideal client, these are the people that are going to want safety, your expertise, and someone that actually understands their skin and is interested in a long-term relationship. So focus on your business, educate your clients on scope, safety, and all of that fun stuff. And then let the others take the shortcuts, because I promise you shortcuts don't last. But I do have a funny story. So when I first started my studio years ago, there was another esthetician who was practicing out of scope, and she was kind of trolling me. So I thought I would be a good Samaritan and also wanted to give her a taste of her own medicine, and I reported her. Hit the submit button on the online form. I closed up my studio. I left, but I immediately tripped on the curb and fell flat face into the street. And there were so many people around. And that experience will never leave me. And I now always try to mind my own business, unless, of course, somebody needs my help. Karen says, what does a strong brand identity actually mean? That's a really good question. And I feel like brand identity is going to be your entire world. It's the way that your business thinks, it feels, it acts, and it communicates. So a strong brand identity will include your philosophy, your point of view, your visual style, the tone of your voice. And when I say tone of your voice, I mean how you are talking to your clients, not your actual tone, but the tone of your marketing, your treatment methods, and your philosophy on skin, the experience that you provide for your clients. It is all together wrapped up. It's that emotional space that you create for your client. And if someone can recognize your brand without seeing your name, that, my friend, is what identity is. If your clients repeat your phrasing back to you, that's identity. If everything you do feels cohesive and makes sense, again, that is identity. When your brand identity is strong, you stop competing and you will just simply attract your ideal client. A quote I love by Gary Vee is, if your organization's intentions transcend the mere act of selling a product or service, and it is brave enough to expose its heart and soul, people will respond. They will connect, they will like you, they will talk, and they will buy. I love branding so much, and I think I want to create a branding workshop. If that sounds interesting to you, will you shoot me a DM or an email and let me know? My email is info@sdsupply.com. All right, Sarah says, I want to step out of the treatment room. How do I hire my first employee? The first hire is always a pivotal moment, and it's definitely a strategic decision. But before you look for anyone, here are a couple of tips. One is you need to have a documented method. And this is going to include your brand philosophy, your ethos, how you treat your customers and skin in general, how you do your consultations, and how you follow up. This should all be thought of well in advance and then create some sort of SOP around it. The second is clear expectations. Is this an esthetician, a front desk person? Figure out what the exact responsibilities will be for this position. And remember that they're here to help you, but they also deserve to know what's expected so they can meet those expectations. These sort of expectations and job duties can obviously change, but you definitely need a skeleton of what the position will look like. The third is a training plan. Most bad hires fail because nobody trained them. not because they're incompetent. I know this firsthand because I was horrible at creating training plans. I'm horrible with organization in general and systems. I've gotten better. I'm still not the best. I've recently brought in a director of operations, and he's incredible, and this is his zone of genius. So I just kind of let him deal and handle all of that. But a training plan definitely is essential. It's what brings structure and security, and it's beneficial for not just you, but also for your new hire. Fourth is financial clarity. This is like one of the things that gave me the most anxiety when I hired my first team member, because it was like, well, how am I going to pay them? So you have to ask yourself, can I pay them for 6 months without relying just on, hope? If not, then right now is probably not the right time. And every hire should make you money or give you back time so that you can make more money. But there's definitely an adjustment period while they get up to speed. So do you actually have enough work for them? It would be a perfect time to do a time audit for yourself to see, like, where are you getting stuck? Where are you spending a lot of your time? What are you doing that you don't like to do? And then see if you can hire out for those sorts of things. And then the fifth is hiring for character over skill, because skills can always be taught. Character cannot. And I also want to mention that workplace culture is so, so important. I really didn't realize this when I started. And, it's important to remember that, like, the same as how our clients want to be seen and heard, so do our team members. And they're here to support our dreams. They're not just here to be a servant to our brands. So figure out what's really important to the culture of your business, refine that, and make sure to incorporate that into the way that you operate your business and how you treat your team members. Because when they feel seen and valued, they will go above and beyond for you. Okay, Matt asked, I feel like I'm making good money, but nothing is left over. What is happening? This is nearly always a cash flow structure problem, not an income problem. So some common issues I see are estheticians overstocking inventory, so they're cash poor. They spend retail money they shouldn't be spending, which is why I always recommend having a separate retail banking account. Underpricing their services. This is why it's so important to figure out how much it costs to run your business. Many estheticians are making literally little to no money, in some cases actually paying their clients to come see them. Another could be high variable expenses and frivolous spending, not having a budget. These are all things that I often see or hear when talking to estheticians and trying to figure out, like, they'll reach out and ask me for, business advice. And then we'll talk about those things and realize that some of these things, aren't even a thought, or they, haven't really considered any of this. And it's really important because all of these things will affect your cash flow structure. For me, I have found the solution that works best for my business. And I didn't do this until a couple of years ago. And I have talked about this many times, that I have a math disability. I have a spatial learning disability, actually. And anything around numbers and problem solving, my brain just totally fizzles out immediately. All my brain cells are like, what's happening? And then they just I don't even know where they go, but they are not working for me. And so one way I have been able to be on top of my finances is I go through my money every Monday and I run reports, and I have several different bank accounts. I have one just for my taxes that I'm going to pay. I have one that I transfer money for myself, and that's the owner pay. I have my OpEx account for my operating expenses. And from this account, this is where you pay your team, your rent, your utilities, all the things that help you run your business. I have an inventory account. So this is going to be your retail account. And then I have a future savings. And this is not for personal. This is for business, for if I need to buy a new printer, or I want to, buy some software or something that's business related. I just have found that if every dollar has a job, nothing really disappears. And when you give your money structure, that's when you kind of regain that clarity. Okay, so this next one is from Jill, and it's thoughts on microderm and hydroderm. So many probably will not agree with me, but I feel like microderm is archaic. I just feel like, yes, it can help with texture, but at what cost? Like, it's inflammatory and it's often overused. Hydroderm or hydrofacial style devices, I think they're fun and they're marketable and satisfying, obviously, They're great for like brightening and hydration. I don't think they're for all skin, and I tend to see them being marketed as such, which is a little sad. But yeah, that's my thoughts. Olivia asks, my retention isn't great. What am I doing wrong? So retention is almost never truly about the service, although it can be, but a lot of times it's something far deeper than that. And I love to give the example about how I used to go to a nail girl where her nails, she did a Russian style manicure, and my nails were always perfection. But she was so rude and so hostile during appointments, like, insinuating that I needed to tip more because I came on a holiday, even though her books were open. And she just like always had an attitude. And I'm like, why are you even doing this if you hate your job so much? I never went back, which was sad because, again, she was like one of the best nail techs ever, but like I could not handle her attitude anymore. So with that being said, I think that it's often about expectations that are not being met, miscommunication. It could be poor follow-up or, like I just explained, an overall unfavorable experience. I guess could be way more reasons than I just listed, but here are 3 pillars that I kind of recommend focusing on. The first is going to be clarity. Your client should know exactly why they are there, what to expect, and when they need to come back, and feel like they have a long-term plan, right? Because we are in the industry of not just skin, not just treatments, but of relationships. The second is going to be consistency. Do you follow up with your clients? Do you check in with them? Those 2 things really make people feel important and cared for, and they are game changers within our industry. So it's important to figure out, like, how can I maintain these relationships between appointments? And then the third is confidence. So clients stay with estheticians who are decisive. If your language is kind of timid or uncertain, that retention will definitely reflect that. Retention improves when our consultations improve, when our recommendations are more confident, and when our clients feel more guided instead of kind of left to their own devices. The last question is other ways to make money in the industry. There's so many paths to make extra money or to transition out of the treatment room to make money. You could have an amazing retail store. I know that Alana Skincare and Art of Skincare get a lot of hate in the Facebook groups, but honestly, they are killing it. Like, they are doing e-commerce the right way. And honestly, I really applaud them for it. I think that it is amazing to watch what they have been able to build and the way that they've been able to brand and scale. I mean, I truly think it's very admirable. And you too could have a really great retail online e-commerce shop. There is a lot of money in that. You could do virtual consultations that could go in with your online retail store. You could create digital downloads for other estheticians. I often think that this would be so fun. Like, if you are really artsy and you are great at Canva or like on the computer, you could create the cutest like gifts, or you could create marketing material that they can purchase that will speak to their clients, or that they can edit to make it more on brand. There are lots of ways to go in that direction. You could do online courses or education. You could do workshops. You could write an ebook about, if you have been an esthetician for a long time and you're just burnt out and you want to try something else, why not write an ebook, like a plan of action for newer estheticians coming in so that they can learn from your experiences? You could be a teacher, a rep for a skincare company. There are so many ways to make money in our industry. So I don't ever want anyone to feel like they're just stuck in the treatment room, especially if they've lost that, spark. All right, today was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed it. I will be here next week, same time, same place. So I hope to see you then.